All right, let's get started. If you missed the first part of the info session, you can go back to our recording. We will record everything. We will put it into a post, and you can see, you can look at. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's info session. My name is Yao. I'm the owner of WEsport. I'm going to be the host today, and of course, I will be the translator, but only when necessary. I will recommend everyone to talk directly to our guests today. I know some of you have already attended a lot of college info sessions before, but today is super special. We all know as a sports fanatics, Olympics is a big and important part of the sports world. And today's program is the closest you'll get to that as a sport manager. As a matter of fact, AISTS is located at the Olympic capital in Lausanne, Switzerland. The AISTS is the world's leading academic institution dedicated to the promotion and the development of sports leadership through education, innovation, and research. Without further ado, please welcome our guest today, Mr. Cherish Bob, the head of strategy and education at AISTS, and Mr. Dimitrios Belomanos, research and project manager and AISTS, and of course, Herman, beautiful lady here, and David, the gentleman, also from the alumni from AISTS. We will start by our two guests giving an introduction of the program with what the program looks like and what kinds of applicants they are looking for. And of course, at the end, we will have a Q&A session so everybody can ask your questions directly to our guests. So just get ready to raise your hand so I can unmute you. Okay, let's get started. Mr. Cherish, would you want to start?
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Yao. Thank you for having us on this webinar. It's a pleasure to be with you and with all your guests today and talking to you all. Maybe before we dive into what AISTS is and what the program is, maybe quickly 2 words about myself, and then I'll let maybe Dimitrios introduces himself quickly as well, so that the audience knows a bit more about who they're talking to. I'm originally from Belgium, graduated as an engineer in electronics and telecommunications, quite far from the field of sport. And following that, actually did the master program of AISTS, which allowed me then to join the International Olympic Committee, where I've worked for over a decade. And through this journey of over 10 years, I've held several positions in the organization, doing brand management, knowledge management transfer, strategic development, both on the corporate side as well as on the games operations and delivery side. And then last year, I've had the opportunity to join again AISTS on the staff side this time around, with basically the mission of revamping the MAS program, as well as carry on some other developments for the academy. And in this journey, I'm accompanied by my colleague Dimitrios. So Dimitrios, I'll let you maybe introduce yourself as well to our audience today.
Thank you, Cedric. Hello, Yao. Hello, everybody. Thank you again, Yao, for this introduction of AISTS and us, and for the opportunity to host us here today. So my background, I am Greek. I come from Greece, and my whole life was dedicated to sports. So I started sports when I was very young, at 3 years old, and then my passion led me to study sports science as my bachelor's degree. Then continuing being an athlete, I launched a sports academy in Greece, promoting the Olympic discipline of Taekwondo. But after some years, then I wanted something more. I wanted to enter this industry, but at a higher level. And I was looking for a ticket to that. And I found that AISTS and thought that it would be the best one. So I graduated from the AISTS Academy in 2018. Then there was 2.5 years with COVID and me searching about the best opportunity. And finally, just a month after Cedric joined the AISTS, I joined as well. I work under Cedric as the research and project manager for the academy. And here we are today, 2 alumni from different years talking about our program.
Thank you, Dimitris. And I think, yes, we're 2 alumni, but we're 2 beyond that. We're 2 people believing on how education can change a career and a life, believing in sport and its values as well. And that's what we would like to talk about with you today in this webinar. To do that and to start a little bit, share a little bit of what we're doing and what's happening here. I'll run over a couple of slides and images, and then on the back of that, I believe we'll have a conversation that Yao will help us facilitate. So if you allow me just to go on and share my screen here. We go. So I believe everybody can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So the first question, obviously, we're going to talk about a sport management program, but the fundamental question is what is sport? Prior to managing sport, you need to know what sport is. It's an activity. It's a set of physical activities that are then regulated, that lead to competitions, and that in the end create a whole sort of ecosystem or community. And this can be very diverse depending on the sport, depending whether it's a team sport, an individual sport, a summer sport, winter sport, etc. So there's a huge diversity in this environment. But what is common, I believe, to all these practitioners and people passionate and fans about sport, and I believe that's true for you as well as you're connected today, it's the mindset. It's a mindset of going beyond, of exploring your own limits. It's a mindset of sharing and playing together. It's a mindset of a passionate person that is, really willing to invest time into those activities and what goes around with it. And I think the reason why I'm starting with this is that throughout a career in sport, you always have to keep this in your mind. Sports is an industry, a business to a certain extent that is really deeply connected in the heart of people. And that in itself is unique. It's not like selling any other goods or products. You're really engaging with people in the core of their soul, in their deep passions, and that's what's make it unique to work in this environment. So that's what sport is. Now, obviously, and as I said, quickly, once you have established a game or an activity, you need to manage it. All right. As I said, there are some regulations when it comes to competitions and so on, but it involves, beyond the practitioners, many people around it. And sport has grown over the decades to become more and more professional, involving more and more stakeholders. And this is a little bit what the picture here reflects. It's those journalists and media that are transferring the emotions and the passion that the players are living on the field of play. It's the people in the organizations and the federations who are discussing the rules and regulations for their sports, who are awarding the events across the globe, who are undertaking reforms to make sport more relevant in today's society, and who are leveraging sport to make a better world through this type of activities. It's also broadcasters who help transmit the emotions, what's happening on the field of play, not only to the few thousands of spectators that are in an arena, but to millions and billions of people around the world. And they have a tremendous role to play in this. It's the sport agents that are, making the links between the athletes and the teams, and sponsors who want to associate their images, their brand, to reach new consumers through the values that sport is carrying. It's obviously also more technical aspects, such as anti-doping controls. But all this goes around two main actors that are really at the core of this world, which are the athletes at the very center of it. They're the one putting the show. They're the one making you scream crazy when they're scoring. And that's the second main actor of this world. It's the fans. I'm sure, some of you might have seen those images of the same fan in 1 minute from the other, going from despair to total craziness because his or her team has scored the victory goal or the victory point. And I'm sure, as sport passionates, you've been in these positions. I'm sure that maybe some of these images might be familiar, or you may have been in these shoes of becoming the uncontrollable person, an ecstatic person, because an athlete has reached something tremendous that is deeply connecting with you and your values. And sport management, it's about that. It's about putting the athletes in the best position to perform at their best. And it's transmitting the emotions to the athletes, to millions and billions of people around the world, the fans. That's really what sport management is about. And this is what is learned and taught about in the MAS program. So Yao said it, the AISTS is an academy. We're based in Lausanne, in the Olympic capital. What does that mean? It means that we have the majority of international federations that are within a few kilometers from our classroom. It means that the International Olympic Committee, who's managing the Olympic Games, is half a mile away from our classroom. It means, as you can see, you could see in our background also, that in terms of living area, the classroom is nearby the shores of Lake Geneva. We enjoy very nice summers around here, and we are just next to the sports center of the university here, which means that this allows many options for sport practice and meeting local people and people who are working in the sport industry around sport activities. Now, coming more specifically to the topic of today, the Master of Advanced Studies in Sport Administration and Technology, I think what is really important, or there are three key messages we want to convey, and on which we're building really this program, which are our strong belief. First, it's that it's a program that grants unique opportunities. This picture here dates back to November 2021. So with the current students that are in class. And the story that goes with it is quite unique. And I think for me, is a classical example of what may happen here. So as part of the program, we have one day where we take the participants to the International Olympic Committee headquarters. And we're doing that with many other sport organizations. Recently, we were at UEFA, the European Football Association. Monday, we were at the International Cycling Union. Next Monday, the participants are going to the International Basketball Association, as well as to the Motorcycling Federation. So we're doing that on a regular basis. This is really part of the program because we want people to be exposed to the people who are working in sport nowadays. And then we were on that day at the IOC and having, you know, a set of presentations about what this organization is about, what it does, what are the challenges it faces, how they see the future of sport. And we were offered a tour of a very nice building, their headquarters. And at some point, we were discussing with one of the directors there, who was actually awarding the certificates that you can see here on the picture to these two ladies, Leah and Elisa, who are Olympians and are in our class this year. And so the ceremony goes on, they receive their certificates, and then all of a sudden someone says, oh, but wait, I'm sure the IOC president would love to get to meet them. And that happened, unplanned, but then the IOC president showed up, addressed the class, and spent 45 minutes inviting them in his office. It was not planned, as said, but this is quite unique because it's only by being here in Lausanne on such a day that these things can happen, and that are unique opportunities that this program can offer. The next element or belief of our program is, and you may have heard this, we're ranked #1 in the Eduniversal rankings. It's not so much about being #1 in a ranking. It's about believing of the academic quality of what we're doing. It's about having as partners and founding members to the program the universities that you see here: EPFL, the Swiss Institute of Technology, University of Lausanne, University of Geneva, those three being the signatories of the diploma, but as well as the world-renowned IMD, Institute for Management and Development, as well as EHL, the Hospitality Business School, and some of institutional partners of the region here. These are all the organizations that are contributing to the success of the program. And our speakers are coming from those organizations and contributing to the academic quality that you will be receiving as participants on the program. And then lastly, it's an experience for a lifetime. What we mean here is you will go to a new country. You will move into a new place. That in itself is already a huge undertaking. But you will be embarking on a one-year journey with 35 to 40 other people who will be on the same journey than you. You will be learning the same topics, banging your head on the wall together because of learning being difficult at times. Let's face it. But sharing all those hard and good moments where you will have delivered a group presentation together, where you will have passed on your examination, where you will go for social and sport practices. And this bonds the class together. Why is that important? The main reason is that this class with whom you go through the program together will also be later on your partners in your career. Most of you will end up working in international sports and cross path afterwards in the future. So that means also that there will be opportunities to support one another all along the way of your career. And it's quite amazing, actually, And especially for me, if I take a more personal example here, I've graduated over 10 years ago from the program. And wherever I go, in organizing committees of the Olympic Games, in international federations, I get to bump into AISTS people, graduates from the program. And it immediately gives you something to connect with those people. And then after, when you come to talk business and actually get to the hard aspects of a discussion, you realize that the discussion is much different and much smoother because you share the same mindsets. You've gone through the same experiences. And that really is also an added value that supports you throughout your career. One last element that I want to highlight regarding this program is what makes it an experience as well is that you will be exposed to concrete or be involved into concrete projects for real clients of the sport industry. That means that very concretely, when joining the program, you'll be assigned to a team project. So you'll be learning to work in group. So that's first, learning about the intercultural aspect. Second, you'll learn how to manage a project with a client. And third, you'll learn about your client and how to deal with the client, how to deal with the culture of sport organizations, because these organizations are quite unique and they have their own culture. And being on the program will expose you to that, will get you to understand that, and really will contribute to that experience for a lifetime, really. And here, maybe I can only turn to Dimitris. Maybe Dimitris, as a more recent graduate here, not with your AISTS staff hat, but more as an alumni, share some insights about how this has been an experience for a lifetime for you.
Absolutely, Cedric. I can just support whatever you have said so far with examples. As I said before, I considered AISTS as a ticket to this industry. I was very excited, but also a bit stressed before coming here. As an athlete, I knew some things about the industry, but I didn't know this aspect of a manager. What can I say about AISTS? So the quality of the lectures, then the proximity with all those organizations. But the most important asset is what Cedric said about the connections you make with your classmates, who later are part of this system here, of this industry, and then you have established connections with them and their organizations as well. The opportunities that you have with the team projects or even the research paper, this is a huge opportunity for the students to show the quality of their work. And since you work with these people and these organizations for almost 8 months, you have the chance to prove to them what is the value of your work. So later on, when they look for people to support their organization, it's the most likely to happen is that they address to you, to people that they already know how they work. So that creates a big network, and that brings our participants then to the industry as managers. I would say that these months were the most exciting in my life. I will never forget them. And then again, to support what Cedric said, we still have the WhatsApp group with our participants, and we regularly receive photos. For example, now the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup at Qatar they're preparing it, and we're receiving photos from people that work. One works at the local organizing committee, the other works at FIFA, and they bumped to each other and they sent a selfie. And that creates, when you see a picture like this, you see the value. You see the value. You say that I went to study to a program And here I am now seeing my classmates working at these organizations and me having the accessibility to all this. So I would say that this whole package of academic excellence, of being in the heart of the mecca of sports, where not only AISTS has access to these organizations, but when these organizations also want something, the first academy institution that they think of is AISTS. And then the network. So what AISTS offers is it opens the doors to you. Doors are open, people are introduced, and then it's of course up to the person to continue and keep this network active and then get the most out of it. So I would say that for me, it was an experience I would never change, and actually it has paid off. So my ambition has been achieved. So I cannot but support it. Yeah.
Thank you, Dimitris. I think we'll stop the presentation here, as the purpose of this session is obviously to answer to your questions that you may have, or questions that Yao have collected on your behalf already, and happy to address them now.
All right, that's very impressive. Thank you. Does anyone has any question? So you can raise your hand so we can unmute you. 大家有什么问题可以直接点击举手啊，然后这个可以帮你取消静音，然后就可以来直接问了。最好是直接用英文，如果用中文的话也没有问题，我可以帮你翻译。有吗？也可以把自己的问题这个放在聊天栏里面也可以啊。如果不想直接介入这个这个谈话的话。
We have one hand raised. Yao.
Hello.
Yao.
Who's talking?
Yes, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
There is one hand raised.
Yeah.
Maybe you can address her. Her name is Kay, or his name is Kay. Yeah. Okay.
Kay.
Yeah. So I just have one question. So with regard to the career opportunities. So what are the current existing internship program or the job opportunities for the graduates of this school? And if you can share some of the examples that we can use as a reference.
Sure. Happy to take this one. So one requirement to graduate from the program is to acquire a 2 years work experience. 2 month full-time equivalent work experience. This can be done either through an internship or through an actual job in sports. Now, what we provide at AISTS, we have a career coach that is supporting the participants throughout the year, and for 2 reasons, or with 2 objectives. The first one is helping the participants to really nail down what they want to do in the sport industry after the program. Our experiences is that many participants are walking in the program with maybe 1 or 2 views as to what the sport industry is and what they could do in the sport industry. However, quickly being exposed to many speakers and in many different fields of activities in the sport industry, they become overwhelmed and start considering many and any options, which isn't actually really productive when it comes to landing a job. So the role of our career coach here is to help and guide the participants in really articulating their strength and tailoring their cover letters, CVs to support application to jobs and internships. Second, thanks to her being very well connected with our alumni network and having dedicated connections with human resources teams of many of the international federations and the IOC and other sport organizations, she often has access to hidden jobs, meaning jobs that are not openly published on the market, or she's aware of potential openings prior to them being advertised, which gives more time to our participants to consider their application and prepare their application in this respect. So these are all assets that AISTS provides to the participants in helping landing jobs and internships. Now, I'd rather be very clear that it is the participant's responsibility to find this job or this internship. AISTS does not provide directly granted internships because we want these to be like real jobs that participants have access to. And so it's ultimately the responsibility and the role of the participants to go hunt in a way for the work they want or the job they want. Now, in terms of what type of jobs, well, I would say that most of the participants will, I think it's 85 or 90% of the participants within 6 months end up working in sports organizations, either here in Lausanne, Switzerland, in those international sports organizations, or in other organizations based elsewhere in the world. And that depends on the participants' interests. Some have interest in certain sports that are based here. Others have interest in sports that are based elsewhere, North American sports, or going back actually to their home country to develop the sports system in their home country. And they're quite often taking leading positions as a CEO of a national federation or director in a National Olympic Committee and so on. So these are, yeah, some of the opportunities in this respect. Dimitris, maybe you want to complement.
I would like to add, yes, that apart from the dedicated coach, as you said, that we have giving us all the open opportunities, we also have a group of alumni, and this is where the network strength comes. So there is a group of alumni on LinkedIn with people that already have positions in major organizations, where when a job opening arises, and before sometimes it is published, they share it there. So we have this opportunity to know that there is an opening in this organization before other people know. And also, this is what I said before, that organizations in the region, they consider AISTS as a big pool of talents. So whenever they have an internship, they take it through our career coach, and we're one of the first ones to know about it. So I would say that this is one of our strengths as well.
So a large majority of the alumni is working in public sectors, for example, international federation, rather than in private companies like Adidas or some other brand owners, if I'm right or if I'm wrong, just about the profile of those alumni.
Yeah, so in this respect, it's true to say that our alumni are mostly targeting sport governing bodies, to call it that way. Some have, however, transferred into the sporting goods industry. It's not the majority, but it's a good part of them. I know of one alumni who's leading Adidas in Mexico territory. We have a recent graduate who has now joined Intersport, which is a major retailing brand here in Europe. These are two examples that I know of out of the 600. But there are people making their career in this respect as well, and it's also an area that we are looking into based on evolutions of the program to have more connections with those organizations. And one concrete example is that this year's participants, they just finished their technology projects, and there were 4 of them provided by 4 clients. There we had one from a bike manufacturer. So again, sporting good industry. We had another one from a startup creating experiences for fans in sports. So it's not a governing body. And the third one, which was about a sport elite and research and performance center. So you really see that we have connections in all areas of the sport industry. There are also, I would say, after the governing bodies, maybe the second tier where most of our alumni are going to work is towards the rights agencies and marketing agencies managing and holding the rights for major events. Companies such as Infront, or Team Marketing, who's managing the rights for all UEFA properties, are regularly recruiting AISTS alumni.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Nice. Okay, do you have any question? Hello, Kate, are you still there? Do you have another question?
No, thank you, appreciate it. Great.
All right,
thank
nice. You. So anyone else? If not, I will go back to the questions we put in the chat room. In the chats, some of them, they're all in Chinese, so I'm gonna translate now. So this one is about the admission requirements, especially on the years of working experience you're expecting. Someone is saying that he's been interning for the last 3 years in college, but he doesn't know if that would count as a working experience. And also the expenses are expecting to study in Lausanne, like the tuition, the fees, and the living expenses they're expecting to be to live there.
Okay.
Mrs. Jared, yeah.
So maybe Dimitris, what I propose, if you're comfortable, I take the question about work experience. You take the question about fees and living in Lausanne. So in terms of work experience or criteria to come into the program, first, one should know that the program is taught in English. So English is a requirement because you will have to produce your papers and examination in English. So you need to be able to articulate structured answers in a grammatical correct English. Second, the primary criteria, or I would say the base criteria, is to be holding a master degree. That is academically what the standard, I would say. And for holders of a master degree, there's not necessarily a need for work experience, although we would recommend it because out of our own experience, we realize quite often that the learnings of the participants are more relevant or they gain more from the program if they can relate to some work experience they've had in the past. But technically, a master degree is enough to come in the program. For those who are holding a bachelor degree, they can enter the program on an exceptional basis. What we mean here is that the lacking years of between the bachelor and master degree would have to be compensated by work experience indeed. And there we typically ask for 5 years of work experience. When we say 5 years, it's full-time equivalent. So let's say if you've worked 10 years at 50%, that accounts for 5 years. If you have done internships in parallel to your studies, but like in normal companies where they can attest of your time working there as an employee, this can be taken into account in counting the years of work experience. But for that, we need obviously the duration and the rate at which you were employed as an intern in these companies. Overall, we will also assess whether there is progression in the career over those 5 years of experience. Then it comes more to, of course, your application may technically qualify for the program, but it also depends on the profile of other applicants and whether your profile comes on top of the pile in a way. Or when I say top of the pile, it's not necessarily having the best academic grades and the highest job with responsibilities, but really a profile that we see will benefit from the program and will learn about sport. And then lastly, it is a sport management program. So obviously any connections with sport is relevant in an application. And then there's the special case, I would say, for athletes or people who have been practicing sports at an elite level. And they can demonstrate that by results in World Cup or World Championships and so on. The time they spend on practicing their sport at that level can be accounted as a professional experience as well. So that would be on the criteria side. Now, Dimitris, maybe you can cover the practical aspects of living in Switzerland and cost of living.
Sure. So regarding the cost, I suppose you are already aware about the tuition fees of AISTS. And on top of that, we have the cost of living in Lausanne, which is, as you again may know, not the cheapest city in the world. However, there are different options. And since I'm an alumnus as well, I know many stories, also mine, but from my classmates. If you really want to keep the cost lower, you can even spend something like, practically 1,200, 1,300 per month. And then if you are able to spend more, the sky is the limit. However, so we can calculate this monthly cost for 10 months, since it's the time participants need to be here in Lausanne, physically present for the classes. All in all, and what I personally did is consider this whole package, which accounts for the tuition fees and the cost of living in Lausanne, as a big investment to ourselves, to one's self. It's investment to education, and to my mind, there is no better investment. But yes, practically, the tuition fees for AISTS are 29,900. And then I would say, again, that an average of 1,300, maybe 1,400 per month, in order to have accommodation and the living expenses in Switzerland. Let's not forget that we're talking about students. So students always have a more Any question regarding this is really welcome. I can help by answering practically. It's a fresh experience for me, so I can really share anything. Please feel free to ask.
Thank you. So we are looking at 40 to 45,000 euros for the whole program to finish.
That would be a safe, yeah, that would probably be a roughly good assumptions. Again, as Dimitri said, it depends on the lifestyle of the person. I know of students who've come to manage expenses at 1,000 francs per month, plus indeed the tuition fees. So accounting for 40 to 45,000 for the whole, sustaining the whole program is in the right numbers. Yes.
And
okay, nice.
It's a good point probably to mention that AISTS offers scholarships, in which case the cost of the overall cost, of course, reduces, as the two scholarships that we offer cover for 50% of the tuition fees.
50%. All right. So the Chinese students are qualified for both the two scholarships.
So the two scholarships that we have for which Chinese students can qualify are the athlete scholarship, and that's to promote athletes coming onto the program, because we see it also as a career transition program for athletes. And I mean, the picture I shared before with us having two Olympians in the classroom, and I mean, in this case, these are people who went to the Olympic Games, but there are other athletes or coaches who are practicing at an elite level in the classroom this year. And then there's the Future Female Leadership Scholarship, for which Chinese applicants also qualify, but obviously female people in this respect. Maybe to mention that for the next batch, so starting in September 2022, those scholarships, the deadline for those scholarships is passed, but obviously those are available, and participants can apply for it for the edition next starting in September 23.
All right, nice. Is there any question regarding to the requirements, admission requirements, and cost of living there? I think I will skip that one. Okay, go back. So maybe go yeah, to the.
Yeah, if I may on this, and while we're on the admission and so on, I may also quickly share a view on maybe the process that we take people through, right, if that's okay in this respect, while we're touching upon this question. So. Very sorry, I'll just share here. Very briefly, if you're interested, you're welcome to go on our website, fill in the Am I Eligible form, and then you'll be contacted by our recruitment officer, which will offer you an informal video call to understand your motivation, answer additional questions you may have, and then once you've submitted your application, we will have a selection call, really to go through all the elements of your application, because in your application file you'll be asked to submit a motivation letter, two recommendation letters, and some administrative documents as well, and there will be video calls and interviews, and then we'll take your file to a selection committee that will look at all the applicants coming in, and based on internal criteria decide who's accepted into the program, and on the back of which you will receive an acceptance letter. Just maybe to mention that amongst the criteria of the selection committee, there's the notion of having a balanced class. And what I mean by that is one of the learnings of the program is also to work in a multicultural environment. And for that to happen, obviously, we need people coming from all around the world. So if there are 10 applicants from one single country, which may be of very good quality, we might not necessarily qualify the whole 10 of them, because we need to make sure that other countries are also represented, not for the sake of country representation, but really for bringing in different culture and perspectives around the table. And also because each participant is coming in the master program with its own background and knowledge about how sport is practiced and consumed in their own country. And this contributes to the learning of the class. This goes back to, you know, being classmates and learning together. And that is fundamental for us in this program. So that's also a criteria we have when coming to the selection committee. So sorry, back over to you. Just wanted to cover this briefly.
Yeah, thank you. That's crystal clear. And so the next question is found that she's asking that what are the Chinese alumni doing? So what they're working right now, where they're working after graduation?
Yeah. So as for alumni from any countries, some of them have stayed in the region to work in international sport governing bodies. Others have returned to China to work in the development of sport in China. So that depends a little bit on the personal ambitions as well. I'll just maybe reuse an example that I've mentioned just before. Our recent alumni, Duran, who's coming from China and is now working in Intersport. So that sport retailing brand, one of the major ones here in Europe. And he's remained based in Switzerland and he's working for that company now. So he's one example of a person staying here in the region. Dimitris, maybe you want to add some others.
Yes. So I have, for example, 2 Chinese girls from my class. That one is working for FIBA, for the federation, the International Federation of Basketball, and the other one is working for an organization that has to do with the doping control. It's the ITA, the International Testing Authority. But I wanted also to mention that in view of the Beijing Games, there were a lot of Chinese being recruited for that purpose. And then having had the opportunity to prove the quality of their work, they either stayed within the organization for which they were recruited or moved to other organizations, having used this first step in the industry. And also I have another example as well from my class again. She's working, Yiting, she's working at the International Volleyball Federation. So I would say there are Chinese alumni scattered in organizations and having achieved good things.
They've been doing very well.
Actually, yes, and not in a long time after the graduation. So at least for the ones I know, so I have a really good sample of Chinese alumni.
So I think what's maybe important to highlight here is, as Dimitri said before, AISTS opens doors, right? What you do then with that open door is in your own hands. You need to create yourself your opportunities. You need to demonstrate your value as well. And you need also to be clear as to what you want to do afterwards. Some people are interested and have the capabilities to work in international sports, while others have interest in going more towards entrepreneurship or going back to their home country and developing sports in their home country. And I think that's important to assess as well and be true to yourself as to what you want to do afterwards and find your own way. And as we briefly demonstrated now, yeah, our alumni reflect and where they're working now reflects that diversity to a certain extent.
And
nice.
Just to add on the last point that Cedric mentioned, that it's good to know what you want to do afterwards. That does not mean that you need to know that beforehand. And I take myself as an example and many other classmates of mine that we came here either without knowing anything of what we want to do or by being obsessed with one organization or one position. But what AISTS has showed us, and our course here in these months showed us that we really need to have an open mind and not stay like focused or have a very narrow scope, a narrow scope on what we need to do. The sports industry is huge. The roles that someone can play in this are numerous. So it should not be stressful to the potential candidates of AISTS, the fact that they may not be clear from the beginning what they want to do. The pure passion for sports is enough to start with. And here, by having all these opportunities to attend the lectures and be exposed to different organizations and different people within these organizations, it broadens your mind, and then you're closer to what you think you want.
Yeah, that's a great point. That I've been there. I've been as a student, not knowing what to do after graduation, but you will figure that out if you go through the education process. All right. So the next question is, also have a recent 2022 alumni working at the CCTV in sports. Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that as well. An example of someone going back to China to work at CCTV, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. All right. The next question. So because of time management issues, we're probably gonna have answered the next two questions. The next one is, so you mentioned there were like 35 to 40 students will be admitted to the program for each year. So how many students are involved in one cycle?
Well, I said every year we have between 35 to 40 participants in the classroom. Mm-hmm. And this is for a practical reason, because we want to maximize learnings also from the participants. So we need a minimum size of participants to make sure the exchanges are rich in class and that there's learning from one another. But at the same time, we don't want to have too many participants because we want to be able to draw enough attentions to each of them and provide them with a good service. And that also goes with the career coaching services. So that's why we contain it to about that number.
So how many students? How many Chinese students? I'm sorry.
Chinese students.
Each year.
That depends on the number of applications. This year we have one Chinese national. We have another person who was living in China before, but of another nationality. It depends. Then, for instance, we have 3 people from South Korea. As said before, there's no fixed number, so it depends on the number of applications from a country. But at the same time, we will make sure that half the class is not coming from one single country, because we want to make sure we have diversity in the classroom.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. Yeah.
Just to add,
you want to add something? Mm-hmm.
In my class, there were 4 Chinese candidates. So I would say that between 2 and 4, as far as I know, they're always in the class from China. And these are the participants who are admitted. So there are more that apply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably there were 20 people applied, only 4 got admitted. Yes, okay. So the final question is funny. I've noticed that Demetrios is from a background related to sports. You've been an athlete before, right? So what kind of sports?
I have been exploring sports a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that my main sport, the one that I had the more distinctions at, was Taekwondo.
Taekwondo, oh,
Taekwondo,
nice.
yeah.
All right.
I have had
So
a very annoying Chinese opponent, a huge guy, before the 2008 Olympics. So yeah, but yeah, my main sport is.
Yes, Taekwondo.
I was also involved with basketball and high jump in athletics.
Wow, wow, that's a lot. So Cedric, you've mentioned that you are from a background that's not far away from sports industry before, and you're trying to make a transition from there to the sports through AISTS. So from the AISTS point of view, would you prefer applicants from the sports industry background, or you prefer someone without?
I think what's the most important is that there is a passion for sports.
Mm-hmm.
Whether there is sport practice or not will not matter much in the selection process, because it's really in the end the passion that drives the ability to learn, to go and explore new things. That's really what we have observed with participants throughout the program. So yeah, I think this program basically is built for people who have sport background and want to formalize and elevate their knowledge of the sport industry, as well as for people who have expertise in another industry and want to bring that to sports. The very origin of the foundation of this program was the need to professionalize the sport ecosystem. And this professionalization comes also from bringing people from other industries into the sport industry. But then comes the whole challenge of knowing about the specificities of sport. And this is what this program brings as well for those profiles. And so not having a sport background is not an issue as such, because this year in Lausanne allows to learn about that and capture about that. But it's clear that you need to have interest into learning about this and being exposed to this to capture as much as you can. So that's why the sport passion element is really fundamental in this respect.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
I totally agree. Just to compliment on that, I totally agree with Cedric that, of course, the passion for sports is something we need to see. But practically, again, we have participants with low background, financial background, engineering. So what we value here at AISTS, not only in terms of diversity regarding the country of origin, we value the diversity in the background as well, and also the gender diversity. So what we're trying to do is package all of them in one and have variety in all of these sectors. We really value the insights from people who come from another industry, and they're passionate to bring these insights to sports. Because as we know, sports, they have all kinds of departments. Like if you see a sport organization, they have financial departments, law departments, communication departments. So we really value this different background.
Yeah, nice. I don't think there's any other question. So thank you so much for joining us today, everybody. And if you are interested in applying to AISTS, please fill the forms that we share in the chat room, and we can start collecting your materials and start supplementing your applications. as soon as possible. So we are closing now the application for September this year. And if you miss that deadline, you're probably gonna have to apply for next year. So don't miss another year.
Just to mention,
right.
Yeah, the final deadline for application is on June 1st. Indeed, not with scholarships, but until then, our recruitment officer is available to answer any of your questions. Go on our website, AISTS.org, to fill in the Am I Eligible form, or send an email directly to admissions@aists.org. I'll put that in the chat right now. And you can get in touch with our recruitment officer, who will provide you with all necessary details in this respect. And yeah, if you go on our website, AISTS.org, you'll find that we have a web page in Chinese introducing, explaining about the program, and giving you those steps.
All right. Thank you. I'll definitely forward that link to the chat room we have in WeChat. All right. Thank you, everybody. I don't. It's late here in China, so thank you for joining us today, and thanks Demetrius and Jack for your time to sharing your experience, giving a presentation of your program, and look forward to meet you again.
Thank you very much, Yao. It was a pleasure being with you and with you all. And thank you all for the questions and these exchanges. Much appreciated. And hope to see some of you in Lausanne later this year.
Yes.
Thank you, Yao. And thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.